reason.
Sorry. Let's see what we can
Me
do.
too.
Thank you for telling me. Is this better?
Yes, that's
Say it
better.
again.
All right. You want my full soccer voice, like soccer mom, right?
There you go.
Okay. We'll let it rip. Better?
Yes.
I think if you can hear it
It feels like I'm
broadcasting here,
going.
it's going there.
Wow. Okay. Get used to this. The only opening remarks I had for today would be to, one, thank you everybody for joining us today and joining us down here in West Haven in your accommodations. Sorry for my delay with the traffic. Those things happen. Second item on the agenda today is of the minutes for July the 25th. If I could get a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Susan. Second?
Second, Tom Hamilton.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion about the minutes? I hear none. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Oh, who's in the background? Stephen? Oh, hi, Steve.
Yes. Hi, Steve Felsinger. Good morning.
Can't hear you very well, Steve, but I wanted to say good morning to you.
Okay.
Any
Thank
opposed
you.
or abstentions?
I abstain. Bob White.
Okay, Bob. All right, the motion carries and the minutes have been approved. Thank you. And next item on the agenda is for us to review and to discuss the West Haven sewer project. And I'm going to turn that right over to the city to do that and hope that we have somebody to walk us through this. I'm definitely not an expert in sewer, so I'm willing to learn today about this.
I'm giving her a shocked look. Abdul Qadar is here, ready to speak to us about the project, the different ramifications. Brought some support.
Morning, Abdul. Thank you.
Good evening, good morning, sir. I have a 5-year capital plan in the just middle. First item is the wastewater treatment plant. There are 3 items in that one that needs immediate attention. The first one is the biosolid disposal. At the wastewater treatment plant, when the wastewater comes into the plant, we separate solids from the liquid, and the liquid is treated and disposed of into the harbor, and the solids are removed. That has to be disposed of. We had the incinerator that was.
Can you hear him, guys? Because I'm having a little trouble. Maybe you got to go closer with your mic. I'm sorry.
I'm having a tough time hearing him.
You are?
Just, it needs to be right on your mouth, Abdul.
Yeah, just go right. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. We had the incinerator to burn the wastewater solids. Was shut down in 2017 because the new EPA emission standard came up that we did not meet those standards. So we were issued a notice of violation. We looked at different options. At that time, we didn't have any options, so we shut it down. Told EPA that we are not going to operate at this point. We have been shipping these solids to Naugatuck treatment plant for 5-6 years now. Initially, they gave us a very good rate that was about $650,000 per year. Now it has gone up to $1.2 million. It's going to keep going up. In the whole state, there are only 5 facilities that burn the solids. There's no landfill in the state. We looked at a different option, going to Massachusetts, New Hampshire. None of the states will accept our solids. So we only have option to go to Naugatuck, and they tell us that around 5 years after that, that option may not be available for us.
After when it won't be available?
I'm sorry?
You said at some point in time it will no longer be available. I didn't hear
5
what
years
that-
from now.
How many?
5 years.
5 years from now. Okay.
So we have to look at different options. We have been looking at it. We looked at 4 different options. Feasible option that we have right now is to upgrade the incinerator.
That's one of the options.
Yeah, that's the only feasible option. The other options are not. One is to keep trucking it. If we are not able to truck it after 5 years, we have no place to go. it has to go back to maybe Ohio or Pennsylvania. And it's very high transportation cost. So we are looking at to upgrade the incinerator. Another option that we're looking at it is similar to incinerator, but it will gasify it at a higher temperature, so we have very little ash left over. So those two options we are at this point looking at it in detail.
So one of the options is to upgrade the existing,
Incinerator, yes.
say that again,
Existing incinerator,
incinerator. Thank you. We're not looking to take action today. We're looking to learn today. Okay? I
Right.
just wanted
No,
you
no.
to be aware so that we
Yes,
can understand the
yes.
situation. I
Yes.
do know that you were looking for future funding, correct?
Yeah, the purpose would be for the MARB to understand and for me to get a better picture of what we should be putting in our 5-year plan. I can tell you right now, this borrowing is a little front-ended in the 5-year plan that I've been discussing with you so far. So this, as I'm looking at this today, I think it pushes it out a little bit further. So the debt service would be reduced if I were to just haven't done that.
One important point on this one is that we have an existing permit that has been extended to February 8, 2024. If we don't make a decision before then we are going to lose that permit. To get a new permit is almost impossible right now. We have to make a decision by December this year.
Make a decision.
Yes.
So making decision, having a contract, what will we need to do to make sure?
We have to let DEEP know that we're going to proceed with the installation option and then give them a schedule.
Okay. So there's our timeline, or at least making a decision.
Do you have a contact at DEEP that possibly could come to a future meeting to also participate in this?
Yes, his name is Sinclair. He's the director of air.
Okay, maybe that's a suggestion that we would want to do, okay? So this is the waste part of it. That's one piece of the issue that we wanted to discuss today. There's more? Yes, go ahead. Could ask questions today. Do you have more to provide?
Sure.
You have more to tell us about this?
Not for the incinerator, but there are two other items on this.
Understand.
Yes.
Tim, this is Tom Hamilton. I
yeah.
did have a question.
Thank you, Tom.
Is there, yeah, thank you. Is there an order of magnitude of cost that you're looking at, do you think, for these incinerator options?
Yeah, if you look at the table, we have given an approximate cost between $25 to $30 million.
There's a chart in your materials, estimated capital project spending.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's talking about the first line on that chart, biosolids disposal.
Okay. Thank you.
Susan?
I noted in reviewing the draft report on the West Haven biosolid study from CDM Smith, they examined 4 options, and the incinerator option was the least costly by many millions of dollars. And so that is what you were recommending?
Yes.
And there was some discussion of the PFAS chemicals and different ways, how different options treat them. Are you comfortable with how the incinerator option treats those chemicals?
No, we have different options to treat it. The problem is there is no disposal option. Once we treat it, we still have those solids we have to dispose of somewhere. There's no landfill in Connecticut that we can ship it to.
So with this upgrade, it would allow you to be able to no longer have to ship it anywhere. You will be able to.
Yeah. With the incinerator option, we can reduce by about 75 to 80%, so we only have to dispose about 20%, which is ash. that can be shipped to different places.
Are there more ash landfills available than other types of landfills?
Ash is an inert material. It could be used either for landfill cover or even in a regular fill someplace.
versus the solid waste.
Yes.
Would this be an opportunity with the amount, if this was upgraded, would you then have the opportunity of taking in others' solid waste for a revenue stream? After you take care of West Haven?
Yes, we will have the capacity to take additional solids from outside. The question is whether we can have this is in a residential neighborhood, so any truck coming in would have an issue with odors and other issues.
Do you see that as an option?
It's definitely an option until I think we need to know more. I'm not sure what that revenue stream would be. I'm not quite sure of the issues, but they would have to be trucking their solids, right? Abdul, they would have to truck their solids to us. So we would have some sort of facility to move those solids from the truck to the incinerator. I'm not sure what all that, what entails that. And I don't know that these numbers, I don't know if that's additional equipment, additional building, additional whatever it is. I don't know that these numbers reflect that. So
Sure, I'm just thinking
yeah, and I
beyond.
it has been presented to me in the past as a possibility, and I think a strong possibility. Our capacity could handle additional.
The other issue would be if we want to accept outside sludge, we have to modify the permit because right now permit is strictly for West Haven solid.
There you go.
But you will be building so
I
that
think
you
that-
can accommodate that if you so choose, or no?
Sorry?
If with this upgrade, you could accommodate
Yes.
waste
Yes.
from others if you so choose, if you wanted to.
We generate approximately 6 to 7 tons per day, and our capacity is about 14 tons per day.
Okay,
I
So I
think to make a decision on this going forward, I think that's a piece of the puzzle that we really need to have, because to spend 30 million just to take care of West Haven when other towns certainly probably are going to experience the same issues going forward, I think this is an opportunity to mitigate the $30 million cost and also create a new revenue stream. I think that's the best way to look at it. And I think to make a decision on this, you really need that piece of the puzzle.
I agree, Stephen. At least to explore it, right?
Yeah, and I think the time to do that is when we start talking with Deep about the fact that we've decided to do it.
Yeah.
Is to start exploring with them, okay, what permit do we need? Let's get that started ahead of the project.
Correct.
I think you're
inform it.
have an accurate idea of what the cost is, because I think you really need to, with an expense like type, which is to materially affect it. I think you really need to have that piece of the puzzle figured out before or in conjunction with, because I think to make that decision in a vacuum would not be in the best long-term interest. I think this could actually end up, instead of being a negative, end up becoming a positive for this opportunity.
So to clarify, the cost options, you've presented us with something that has a capacity of double the tonnage that West Haven would need, correct?
Yes, if we have to accept the outside sludge, then we have to modify our facility to accept the sludge. At this point, we don't have the capability to accept outside sludge.
So the cost estimate for the incinerator upgrade, do we then need two options? One, the smaller size, one, the larger size? That's not clear to me.
No, we have an existing incinerator that is already there, so we're not modifying that incinerator. We have to add equipment to that
Yes.
to meet the new guideline. So the capacity is limited. We can only burn about 12 tons per day at this point. That's a limited maximum capacity.
Based on the licensing or based on the facility?
Permit, the permit
Permit.
requires the
Okay.
Downgrade, downsizing the size of the incinerator would be more cost prohibitive than just upgrading what the incinerator. That's why, but to Abdul's point, the problem with taking in additional biosolids is that this is in a residential neighborhood. Not sure what the residential response to trucks of sludge coming in. Something we need to keep.
I would agree with that. There needs to be a discussion and would need to be conditions on trucks and the traffic and the time frames and all of that, and it might entail additional equipment. So I guess my question is, what are the costs if it's only West Haven and I guess Orange right now? And what is it beyond to fill it to capacity? What are the, because if we're talking about using this as a revenue stream, but we need additional equipment, then I want to make sure that we have the right costs. That's what I'm
Absolutely.
Include it.
asking.
So yeah, so
Include
we
those
have-
numbers.
the incinerator will have the ability to handle that amount, but we need to find out what the cost of equipment to unload and transfer. So,
Yes, thank you.
absolutely. Yep.
The other issue we have to keep in mind is that this is the present solids, 7 tons per day.
Yeah.
But this could increase in the future. If we do increase it, it varies from month to month. Maximum month, we can generate about 8 or 9 tons per day right now. So we would have a limited capacity to accept outside sludge when we have a higher solids in our own plant. And also in the future, if our capacity goes up, then we won't be able to accept outside sludge. So that would be another contractual issue that if we make a contract, whether we can fulfill that contract.
Well, like all contracts, like what just happened to you with
Yes.
your sludge, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like this state has a great need. So I think it would be beneficial to West Haven as well as the state of Connecticut to be able to take a look at that and those options, understanding that you have it in a neighborhood. And I didn't know that, we didn't know that, but take a look at those conditions.
Yep.
I know you have a short timeline, so you probably have a little bit of homework to do to get us that information.
Okay.
Any other questions about this topic? All right.
The next item is the outfall pipe.
It's,
After we treat the wastewater, we have to dispose of the liquid into New Haven Harbor.
please hold one moment. Tell me which document I'm supposed to be looking at. Is it this one, the biosolid study?
No, the outfall pipe.
Okay. So, oh, we're still on that one?
That's just a summary.
That's a summary of everything.
You
Oh,
have
this
you have
is a
you
summary
have
of everything?
you have
I'm sorry, I thought it was individual.
No.
Oh, this is all three. Okay, forgive me. Gotcha. But this is the report. Okay.
Yes. The original outfall pipe was built in 1967. It's a corrugated metal pipe, steel pipe. Over the years, there has been a lot of issues. Break 3-4 times it broke away, and we had to fix it. We spent about $3 million over the years, keep fixing it. Right now, there is about 300-foot pipe that is exposed. If there is a heavy storm, like a hurricane, that pipe most likely will go away. Like in Sandy, during Irene and Sandy, we lost about 200 feet of pipe. And we have to fix it on an emergency basis. If this pipe goes away, then we have to have an emergency, and that would be a costly fix. We have been looking at fixing, putting a new pipe, and the cost has gone up quite a bit. We're looking at anywhere from $50 million to $70 million to upgrade the pipe.
And this is a new pipe as opposed to repairing the old.
It would be a new pipe.
repairing the old even an option at this time?
Yeah, we looked at different options. The problem is this is outfall pipe is going through a sensitive wetland area. There are birds in there, there is nesting ground. So we are getting a very difficult to get a permit to fix anything right now. They have been asking us to do some permanent fix, and this is what we are looking at right now. We're going to bury the pipe 4 feet below the existing pipe, so it will never be exposed.
It's exposed right now?
300 feet of pipe is exposed, yes.
But if you were to get this funding, then you would not have it exposed anymore, is what you're stating?
Yeah, once we get this pipe fixed, then we won't, for at least next 60 years, we won't worry about the pipe.
This pipe's longer, right, than the previous one? Are we mandated to go longer on the pipe?
It's the same size,
It
it's
is
a
the same.
4-foot diameter pipe. The problem is we have additional cost because the sea level is rising. So at a high tide, we won't be able to discharge with the present pipe. So we had to put a pump station on top of the pipe. That add another cost. So that's why it's a high cost.
Any questions about this?
We have been lucky to get some FEMA funding when we had broke at one time. I don't know, I mean, I can't guarantee that they will pay for it, so.
Have applied to FEMA
Yeah,
on these issues. It's pending.
it's pending.
Yeah.
But the,
I can't remember, was it all of these or just the pipe? I know Olivia told me that she applied to FEMA. I think it was the outfall pipe. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, outfall pipe, I mean, we have been looking for FEMA funding on this one because if we do get mitigation funding, we can get 75% grant and then we only have to pay 25%. We have been trying for 3 years. We have not been accepted so far. The only available funding source at this point is the Clean Water Fund. We will get 20% grant and 80% loan.
through deep,
80% loan at 2% interest for 20 years.
an interest. Is that what you're proposing in this plan?
If we don't get FEMA funding, our application is pending. We are waiting for the decision. Then we have to pursue the Clean Water Fund.
In my 5-year plan presentation, I show a best and worst case.
Yep.
With 80%. I think I might have done it wrong. I need to talk to Abdul about it. I might have assumed 100% FEMA. I think it's 75%, right, Abdul?
So if you get the FEMA, it's 75% with a 20, the match is 5%?
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah. PWF is
A lot of money for pipe.
Sorry?
I said it's costs a lot of money for this
Yes.
type of pipe. Yes, Susan.
2 questions. One, does a new pipe offer more protection for the vulnerable wildlife and birds and like? Because it doesn't have holes in it for.
But during construction, we will be affecting it. That's why we had to get permit from Deep and Army Corps. So we are going through an area, there is a nesting bird that there will be restriction. We can't put the pipe for a whole year. We only allowed maybe 3-4 months in a year to do the work there. There is a nesting
Because of the
bird
nesting?
from March to August, we can do work. And then in winter, during February, March, because there's fish flounder, that we can do work in water. So it's very restricted time frame that we can work there.
Wow.
And what is your timeline for a decision? Is it similar to the biosolids disposal timeline, or are we waiting to hear from FEMA first?
Right
Or-
now, we are eligible for Clean Water Fund. If we don't take that opportunity, it may not be there because DEEP has received federal funding, extra federal funding they're giving us. On this, the DEEP project are based on the priority points.
Mhm.
This outfall pipe did not have enough priority point to be eligible. We have been trying for 3-4 years on this one.
So
This
what,
year, they gave us approval.
okay, so what's our timeline to make a decision?
We were hoping to, by December this year, so we can proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Are all the projects you're looking for through December?
By December, we have to make a decision so we can apply for Clean Water Fund if the other source is not available.
These two projects add up to $100. The rest of the project pale in comparison. So this is the lion's share.
When you budgeted for this and the dollars that are in here, this is the amount that you would have to receive funding on, aware of the discount?
Is this the total cost on your chart?
Yeah, these are the total costs. yeah.
So,
So there's different
so the
numbers.
funding would be less,
Right.
assuming, well, since we do have a Clean Water Fund agreement for the pipe.
Okay. Right. Then can we get, I guess I would then refer to your 5-year plan for the best case and the worst case, because you took into consideration FEMA money versus the clean water funding versus this chart?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there'll be some timing changes based on this chart, though.
Okay. We have no questions, and we're going to move on to the next project. Go ahead, Upton.
Next project is flood hardening. Our treatment plant, most of the structures are above the FEMA flood level, but the ground level and some of the equipment is at that just about at 100-year flood level right now. In the future, as sea level rise, this is going to go up. So we have to protect the plant. We are thinking putting a flood wall around the treatment plant and the main pump station. Those are major items. And the total cost for those two projects would be about $16 million.
Are they currently flooding?
We do get flood on the ground, but not at the equipment point.
This right now as much in dire straits as the other two projects?
Not at this point, no.
The other two are the dire straits.
Yes.
If I was to rank, if you were to rank these, which one is, all three are, well, probably not all three. Number
The
one,
biosolids is the first one, and the outfall will be second. Flood hardening would be third.
this one is not much of a current issue at this moment, but could be
It could
as a
be.
potential.
Yes.
Do you have any funding capability in this particular
We,
situation?
we can get clean water fund on that one as well.
You can.
We're also trying FEMA funding, and we're also looking for federal funding as well.
So we have to make a decision on the outfall by the end of this year to accept the clean water funding that's been granted. Is that what you said earlier?
We're probably going to wait till next year for this particular one.
We can.
See if we can get some funds.
Okay, next year. Okay.
Number 3 or number 2?
Number 3.
What about number 2? Did you say we do have a clean water fund approval for number 2?
We can get, yes, it's eligible for that.
We have that now. And what if we don't decide to do it by December, is there no there's no guarantee we would get clean water funding?
We are not looking at this point to apply for this one this year.
Okay, thank you.
Next year, we will be probably.
Got it.
The
I
hardening,
misunderstood. Yeah, I'm on the outfall.
I thought you were on the outfall. So we are
I'm-
not looking for this by December?
Sorry,
I thought we were.
Abdul, I'm
No,
sorry, I
we're looking
confused
for
you.
the
Yeah,
biosolids and outfall, we are looking by December this year.
Okay, yeah.
that's what I heard. Okay.
Yes.
Kim, I had a question.
Yes. Go
Um,
ahead, Tom.
has anyone in West Haven looked into the federal infrastructure bill and whether or not that uh, bill provides any funding in the sewer area as well as the climate resilience areas for any of these projects? Obviously, this is these are large, very large numbers you're talking about. And also, have you reached out to West Haven's congressional delegation to get their input and advice as to whether or not there's any possibility of any sort of uh, federal funding, special earmark, what have you, that would be worth pursuing for some of these projects?
We have asked for Senator Murphy on this particular one. We're also looking at FEMA funding for this particular one because it's a resiliency project.
And I know those kinds of funding efforts typically can, really take a long time to develop and involve, quite a bit of background work. I've seen other communities that have had some success there, but frankly, they have all had lobbyists on retainer in Washington working over a period of usually several years before you actually see any money start to flow. But, given the magnitude of the cost here, um, I do think it's worth pursuing that angle.
We are pursuing it. So
Okay, that's good. Good to hear.
Susan.
The hardening project involves sheet piles, and I'm wondering, we've been talking about the neighborhood. How disruptive is that to the nesting birds and to the neighborhood overall in terms of driving the piles? Have you looked at that or?
not yet. That's on the main pump station is in the residential neighborhood. At that point, we are looking at not a sheet, it would be sheet piling, but above ground visible would be a different, like a concrete or some other architectural rendering. So it doesn't look bad.
I guess I was thinking about the drilling for piles. You're not going very far underground, so you don't have that kind of disruption?
We are going about 30, 40 feet deep into the ground. We're driving down, sheet piling. But around the treatment plant, there is no neighborhood, away from any house. But
The issue with the neighborhood was the driving of trucks through the neighborhood. This would be on this, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the protection would be between you and the harbor.
we, sheet piling, we don't hammer them,
Okay.
but will have a vibration effect. We have done this sheet piling before. It doesn't affect the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Does all of this work at the same location?
Yeah, it's water pollution plant. That's all these three items are for the water pollution plant.
Okay. It's not different locations.
No.
On the front of one of your documents, there's a picture, the map. Get an idea where it sits relative to our shoreline and the harbor. Can't remember what, there it is.
This one.
Yeah. That little thing that juts out as a bird sanctuary fishing area.
And we
Uh,
have a treatment plant there.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the dot, the little square.
Yeah.
With your good eyes.
Right.
And I think there are my charts in there, but that gives you sort of a perspective as to where it is. Of course, the harbor is a commercial harbor. Foghorns and ships and unloading and loading and all that kind of stuff goes on there. So a little bit of noise kind of mixes in.
So they're used to that.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to share with us today?
Now, there are two items, that's sewer rehabilitation and pump station upgrade. Those are the items that are part of the consent decree that we have been ongoing programs.
Yeah, I think I misled you a few minutes ago. The bottom half of this, as he's saying, are all the things we've already been talking about.
These are the task orders of the consent decree we've already brought to you.
Very good. So all of these, those are the streets that have been, right?
These are the pump stations.
Pump
that we've been-
stations.
Pump stations?
Yeah.
And the sewer.
Yeah, they're known by street names. so.
That's how I knew them, by streets, so I thought it was streets.
Yeah.
That's my ignorance. So we've already taken care of all of these, the rehabilitation section? And,
We had-
or the pump stations?
No, it's ongoing program. We haven't, these are the additional projects that will be coming up.
These are coming up. None of these have been come before us yet. Is that what you're saying?
Not yet.
Oh, all
I
right.
think only one or two items has come before you, but not all of them.
Which ones have come before us? So I
On the
don't
pump
focus on
station, the
those.
Oyster River pump station, that has come up.
With Oyster River, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dawson, did we do?
And on the sewer, you have the contract 4, C4 has come before you. Yes.
And we've already approved these, correct?
Yes.
Any others?
The other ones will be coming up. Every year, there will be one or two items coming up.
Okay. So based on this layout, David and Abdul, has this been put into the 5-year plan?
Not yet.
Okay,
Not in this fashion.
not, okay. You have some money put away.
I do have some money in there.
Yep.
This borrowing is slower, but more. I mean, obviously, when you look out to 2031, there's more money here than would be in the 5-year plan.
Right. But it's also at 100%, not showing how much we would.
I'll have to verify that. I
Yeah.
mean, there's work to do, so.
Sure. All right. So we definitely needed a new chart with those potentials.
Absolutely. And we would never get FEMA for the bottom two, so there wouldn't be any.
There's no FEMA money?
No. I think the only potential, if I recall it, the only potential for FEMA money would be the first two items, biosolids and the outfall pipe. But other than that,
Yes.
there's no, doesn't even ask.
Under the pump station.
Yeah.
What about the sewer rehabilitation area?
No.
They're all clean water fund projects.
Those, that's clean water?
Yeah.
All right.
Everything from there down is all clean water only.
So if you have approval for clean water funds already, can you then lay out how much of the clean water will be based on that approval you already have? What if these projects here will be covered, have the potential of being covered by that?
They're all 20/80, 20% grant, 80% loan at 2% 2 years. I think they are reflected in the cost projections.
I'll be reviewing them just.
But not all of them are covered by clean water is what you're saying. That's what I just heard.
There are clean water
They're all
fund
covered,
project.
20% grant, 80% loan at 2% over 20.
Yes,
By
we,
FEMA.
No.
no,
like clean
we can get
Clean water.
everything on this chart, correct me if I'm wrong, is available for clean water fund. Clean water funds are
Yes.
available for it. Rather not go that route on the first two if we can get FEMA.
Understand.
Yeah.
Okay. But the items that you've already put before us in the past that we've approved, you did not go for clean water funds.
Only clean water funds. Yes,
You did.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
You approved,
For clean water.
you approved loans, basically. You
Okay.
approved us to be able to get
And those were periodic. Wasn't the
Yes,
whole
it's-
project at once.
correct. And yeah, and I need to work with Abdul also about the timing of these. Well, the money will have to flow out before we get the loan. So it's, it's a cash flow versus when does the loan start and start, funding that.
Right. Okay. Right, so a little bit more work to do on the financial side of it for us.
Absolutely. This and also, we talked about at the last subcommittee meeting, we discussed the fire department. I have updates to make for that as well.
Are we done with the sewer now, or you have more to discuss?
Good.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I need to go to class with you. On sewer.
I
Thank
believe
you.
you don't want to make a field trip.
You want a field trip? But I didn't get a full tour on my field trip last time. I wanted a full tour. All right. Then you want to give us, I did not include fire, but what I did include on the agenda was for us to discuss items in the 5-year plan. And Bob, you had a question for us, and that was an updated 5-year plan. We haven't seen an updated 5-year plan. The plan was to hopefully get all the feedback and provide something in October. Because our goal is still to try to get this 5-year plan approved. Okay, Bob?
Yes.
Okay. All right, David, over to you on each one of these items that's on the agenda for the 5-year plan and anything else, because it says all other plan items. So if you want to start with fire, you may.
Yeah, so on the fire, in the 5-year plan that we'd submitted previously, there's $8 million that would have been for a project that it's just not feasible that it would even get done in this time period. So there'd be $8 million coming off of our debt schedule. There would be a positive impact so far as that period of time. As you know, the MARB has approved a study to be done to see what would be the best configuration of our fire departments, and that is under the ARPA funds. So until that's done, we're a long way from putting a shovel in the ground. So that'll move off. We also just discussed the needs for sewer repairs and upgrades. My plan is to put that into the plan and present the two options as a best and worst case.
Okay.
Other than that, so far as the debt, I do not believe there was anything else that I was sort of, in my mind, questioned. Certainly, I mean, it's the timing of replacing equipment, the timing of new patrol cars for the police officers. He's, depending on who you talk to, we're not doing it fast enough, but we believe that this is a good way to continue to replenish those cars. They do not last forever, and they get driven all day. So they need to be upgraded. So that'll stay in there. Those are the major things that are in there. Of course, there's the Washington Elementary School, which just started that project. And those are the big guys.
One comment I just want to make on the, I'm going to say feasibility study, but I also want to call it a master plan is really what we're looking for the fire service. And the goal is not to look at just the existing. It's to act like you have a brand new palette and there's nothing there. I'm assuming you're going to put out an RFP for that work. I think it would be prudent for someone on this board to sit on the committee. Yes.
Would you like to name somebody?
No, I'll let them volunteer themselves. Would somebody want to volunteer to be on the committee? And you can decide what that committee is going to be when those RFPs come through. But maybe it would even be helpful if we got to look at the draft before it went out. Because this is really, really critical. And we've been talking about fire for a long time. And I think that it would be helpful that we make sure, since it's a request of this board, that you get the feedback on the statement of work, if to make sure that I don't want to go, I don't want to sell ourselves short and just look for another report to go on the shelf. Really want to make the best effort, especially with the plan that you want to build a new fire station. So let's make sure that we take all that into consideration.
I think it'd be best if MARB were to decide who that person was going to be and plugged in as soon as possible.
Does anybody want to volunteer today, or you want to hold in about it? All right, we'll get back to you with that.
Awesome.
Do you have plans for that RFP?
Nothing concrete right now.
Nothing, okay. But that's not coming from you, is it? It's coming out of ARPA? The ARPA committee, or is that going to be put to you?
The funding will come out of the ARPA committee, but it'll be published through my office.
Okay. One other thing I wanted to comment on, and that is about the grants and the FEMA. And I know that you've had some vacancies in the grant area. And so do you think that the vacancies that you had in the grant area are hindering you from pursuing grant funds? And if so, what are we going to do about that? Because we don't want a hindrance.
So other than not knowing what I don't know, I don't feel that we're hugely hindered. There's a possibility. I say that, but we have been very fortunate to contract somebody who does this stuff. That's her job. Is she helps people with their grants. She does work for SCROG. She works for us. She has other municipalities and entities as clients, and she's doing magnificent work with our people, and always responded with more time, whatever our requests are. So now, would I love to fill the open position that I have? Absolutely. Still looking for the right person. I don't want to have more of the same, because I need somebody with that broader experience, depth, and it's just been a challenge to get somebody in.
So while Abdul said he applied for 3 years and wasn't granted FEMA money, and I'm not an expert in FEMA money, could it potentially be the grant applications that was provided, and is somebody assisting him with that? And I know he's gone.
Yeah, the department is providing assistance. The individual who grant writing now is, her experience is generally, as almost all come from working here, but she's quite bright, and she has been very successful with other grants till now. I think that it's a hard sell to FEMA when solids aren't floating in the sound, frankly, for them to get too involved. But I really don't know how that agency works, but from just what I hear on the news and stuff.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it would be beneficial if you hired a firm that did this type of work. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, so we have a firm that's providing supervision and guidance. And that's a great idea. Let me think about that.
Somebody
Let me
who
see what's available.
Yeah, expertise in that area. That's where I think we sometimes lack. It's not the day-to-day.
And that, I would suggest that that includes some of the federal infrastructure money availability that Tom Hamilton mentioned.
So that's the ARPA,
I don't know.
or is that something additional?
Tom, can you clarify for David, the funding
Uh,
that you were referring to, was that ARPA?
No, not ARPA. What I'm referring to is I think they're referring to it as the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed. It was passed at essentially the same time as ARPA, but it was a major federal investment in infrastructure throughout the country. And I know it's going into roads and bridges and tunnels and other things, but I don't know if there was money in that bill that was set aside for wastewater treatment plants. I suspect there was money set aside for resiliency, which sounds a bit like what the flood mitigation project is. Um, so, that was really what I was referring to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, I did want to add one other thing. While we're talking about we've moved on into the 5-year plan, it did occur to me that Abdul, who gave us a good rundown on those projects, is someone in West Haven. I know he's been there. He was there when I was there 30 years ago. And we were talking about sewer outfalls then, and we were talking about some of the same pump stations then. I suspect, some of them were redone 30 years ago, and it's time to redo them again now. But my point is that, he's probably someone who has an enormous store of knowledge about West Haven's infrastructure in all kinds of areas, and I know West Haven tends to be very strapped for staff and very short-staffed, and I don't know what Mr. Abdul's plans are in terms of retirement at some point, but I think it's important that that the city start to think about having some backup because you don't want to be in a situation where you're just started $100 million worth of projects and if you lose a key person who has so much insight and information about your infrastructure, it can really be an impediment to keeping those kinds of projects on track. So I don't know if you've thought about, additional staff in that area, or maybe you've got more staff in that area now than you did 30 years ago, but, you might want to think about bolstering your engineering office.
Sadly, we don't have additional staff there right now.
It's just one person.
For the last several years, we've had budgeted an assistant engineer for that person to come up alongside and behind Abdul. Unfortunately, not been able to attract anybody at the salary we believe at the salary was too low. This year we have a higher, greater budget for it. And so, that's an active search, and we're looking to fill that. But yeah, we totally agree. We're also, in our budget, there's an admin role that would be shared by the engineering department. So that would also be additional support. And some of the things that Abdul has to do now that are admin related, we get that off his plate.
Yeah, I think that assistant engineer position really is an important one. I know 30 years ago the city relied on him, to a great extent, and I'm sure it's probably even more so these days. So.
Question. Included in the packet This was for the outfall line replacement, and there's a timeline that was built into here. All of these projects, I think that this is just one project, but I'm assuming, but for all of these projects, it would be great, unless this is for all of these projects.
Can I see what you're looking at?
Um,
Oh,
It's on the back.
that's
It's on
one.
the back of this. I think it's a timeline only for the outfall line replacement,
Yeah, that's correct.
right?
Yeah, I mean, these are obviously commissioned studies that we've done. I'm not sure what else is in them. I mean, we do have a timeline for the expense that has everything on it.
Right. No, I was also just focusing on the projects
Yeah.
themselves.
I think that other than the outfall pipe, what you have before you is more options rather than, and so each option would probably generate its own timeline.
But if it's all at the same location, they must have to intertwine and fold together.
Oh, it'll be
Right.
an interesting undertaking when you're putting in the outfall pipe and the upgrades to probably be jockeying for position with their vehicles. But yes, it'll be a lot to manage.
Right, so we talked about the debt service side of it. We talked about the Allentown firehouse that was proposed, that we're going to make an adjustment to remove that from the 5-year plan and move forward with a feasibility study. And how about an update on the internal service fund? I think you didn't include that in your original 5-year plan.
Yes, the 5-year plan that I had submitted did foresee fully funding all of our internal service funds within that period. I'm sorry, I'm saying that from memory. There may have been some overflow on the workers' comp, and if you might remember, one of the mitigation measures that I brought forward was that we try to fund some of it with ARPA. We are doing two things on Monday at the City Council meeting. We are requesting an appropriation of 2023 funds based on additional revenues that we received, things we've been talking about, additional money, kind of a windfall from the state on the MRSA, and our investment income. We're looking to put $2 million into workers' comp ISF in the year 2023. We're also requesting $2 million of ARPA funds in 2024 to also go into the ISF. It's possible another 2 million, so the total of 4 into the workers' comp, and there's about 150 or so that I requested for general liability, which was a smaller issue so far as the deficit. The deficit was like in the $500,000 range, and I've got enough money, I think, in the plan to close it. So I only asked for the overspend that we had in the 22 for that, just to kind of balance things out. So, but anyway, that'd be 4 million of the 7, okay, that was reported in 2021. Don't have our report on 2022 or 2023, but these should help. Well, they definitely will help pending approval by council and approval by the MARB.
Kim, I have a question.
Sorry. Yep. 1 second, Bob. If you look at the 10-year trend, which I had done, that 7 million was pretty constant. It had spiked up and it did come back down again. So hopefully that's where you're going to fall out, would be my best guess. But yes, Mr. White.
A general comment and then a specific one on this item. The general comment is I think we've made some good strides this year in providing guidance to the city for the kinds of things we're looking for in the 5-year plan. I think we need to refine that as we go forward. The specific question, though, is really a question, which is you've suggested that you get to 1-to-1 within 15 years with what looks like a good front load in the next couple of years. and maybe Tom knows this, but does that meet some benchmarks elsewhere? I don't know if that's not fast enough, if it's too fast, if it sounds right. But I think we ought to kind of get a sense of what it should be so that, again, I'm maybe wishful thinking, but looking forward to, um, not having fun every month with these meetings, and maybe at some point West Haven will emerge. So I think we ought to look toward that.
So the standard is to match your assets and liabilities in there. So, we've been accruing the liabilities, but we have not been funding the fund. So the standard is a 1-to-1 ratio. So
And
we're shy that by 7 million. I'm not
so
aware.
right. So that we're essentially, you're saying in what is it in
I think 5 or 6
in 15 years you'll hit the benchmark. My initial reaction, and I'll defer to Tom, is that's too long.
I agree. I believe we'll hit it over the 5-year horizon. That would be my intent. It would be, there's a potential that I might fund the ISF more than I fund the fund balance at the end of the year. To me, it's two things that need to come up. And so this, for example, for 2023, as I spoke to you before, I'm looking to put 2 million in the internal service fund over and above our budget, and 4 million in surplus to the bottom line. That's unaudited, obviously, at this point, but I'm looking to do those two things simultaneously in 2023. Our budget for subsequent years, for 2024, the approved budget is higher than what we budgeted for in the other year. So we will be adding to that fund. Workers' comp is an area of high expense, and more so than the other items there. Our medical fund, we're no longer self-funded on medical. That'll dwindle off, and frankly, that we were overfunded in that fund, but not enough money to worry about. General liabilities seems to, the cost of general liabilities goes up every year. But, one of the things that we're doing right now, I have a very experienced risk manager. Unfortunately, our current risk manager had to take a leave, but we have found a very experienced risk manager who's in and actively working on programs for training, and other avenues with our broker, taking advantage of services that they provide for free, and trying to roll that out. We had a meeting yesterday about that, and how to navigate and work with the safety committee, et cetera, the entities that exist here. Bob's shaking his thumb at us. Yeah, so I'm very encouraged by that, because it's not enough to fund the thing, and you got to do things to try to bring the number down. And that's what he's very much about.
Definitely. Also within that risk manager, if they worked with those folks that go out on comp so that they can try to get them back to work sooner. And there is a bridge program. Okay, how about a partial versus not a partial? And evaluating it so that this way you can actively be involved with those that are out on comp, get them back to work.
This message was also communicated to him as a direction that we need to go, and make good, fair decisions for the employees, of course.
Of course.
But everything about how do we get this person back at work as quickly as possible.
Partial. Sounds good. Thank you.
I apologize, Kim. I can't get my hand down, but consider it not up.
Kim, don't worry. I can barely see it.
Kim, this is Tom Hamilton. I just wanted to weigh in there for a second.
Please do.
I agree with Mr. White that 15 years is really too long a time frame to address really any of these. You know, I appreciate and I think West Haven's definitely on the right track, and I think that the sort of the proposal to come up with a substantial chunk of money now to start to address the internal service fund shortfall makes sense. I support that. I think a 5-year window to get to a situation where assets equal liabilities is a reasonable time frame, 5 to maybe 7 years at most. But pushing it to 15 years, I think, is definitely too long. But I do think that with the progress that you're proposing to make with the one-time contributions from last year's surplus or anticipated surplus, that will certainly help start to get you on the right path there.
It should be noted that what we're attempting to do on Monday is more than half of the balance. So yeah, definitely something that we 5 years is getting there and staying there.
OPEB, are funding that.
Well, we now have an executed trust, proud of, and it's a matter of transferring the money, and we'll get that done.
You're going to fund it for the very first time for 23.
I believe 22. The accrual would have been booked. I believe, yes, it was. Mr. Ziskowski did.
Okay. Good.
Not a lot, but it's a start.
It's a start. And you funded it also for 23?
We do the same. I'll probably do one transfer of funds for
Both
3
years?
years.
3
Because
years?
we're in 24 now.
Okay. Any other items for discussion on the 5-year plan and items for consideration or to move forward? I do know that any contracts that have been approved would have to be folded in. I think that we've already accommodated for those. I don't think you're far off with a lot of work to be done to close this up. I really don't.
So question as to whether to fold, go all the way back to I would have to go back to the employee detail to fold in those labor contracts. I do have it covered in contingency. See how much work that would be. The juice might not be worth a squeeze.
Understand.
Um,
But, if you're putting it in at the high level, you could footnote each item and give us a footnote where what items are covered within there.
Very
right?
simple, very simple.
A simple table that,
Easy.
Bob?
Kim, yeah, thank you. I have 3 specific questions. One is you noted that the city was going to hire a credential budget coordinator and some other people. Is that in the 5-year plan, or is that to be added?
Yes, absolutely. The budget coordinator started about a month ago.
Excellent, excellent. Good, good. And then there were 2 items that seemed relatively high. Public Works regular wages went from 200,000 to 500,000 from 23 to 24.
Yeah, I believe we discussed that during the budget. I just need to remember completely, we did transfer transfer is the wrong word. We did add some blight.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I remember that discussion.
And we also
and
added.
Then,
Glad you do.
And then electricity, again, same year doubled. building maintenance. And is that just market or?
Yeah, our rate, Bob, went from 7 cents per kilowatt hour to almost 13 cents per kilowatt hour.
Oh,
So
lucky you.
That was,
Okay. I think, and OPEB, you went from 150 to, 250 throughout the plan. Roughly, where does that put you and where do you want to be? Again, thinking about having you reach your goals. What is your goal on OPEB and by when?
We need to discuss that. So far as the OPEB, it is a amazingly high number. Kim, I can't remember. I printed out your wonderful schedule the other day, but I think it's $34 million and not funded. So to say I'm going to get there in 34 years would be $1 million. So Bob, that just throwing out a number, Bob. That wasn't.
Sure. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if Kim, I'll leave it to you to figure out where and which agenda that ought to be on. But if that is an issue, we ought to, let David know that we'll be talking about it on a certain date and to get there. That may not be a this year kind of thing. I think we're going to make a lot of progress here. But next year we're going to have the financial manager, a new administration, a little more experience, and maybe we can tackle it then. But that should definitely be, on any dashboard report. Progress on that ought to be highlighted, whatever it may be.
Agree.
Interesting on that funding. I think my financial manager will be the first person I ask for references.
Of course, I've already got things on that list.
Oh, geez.
Those emails have already been flying since the contract was executed.
Yeah, I know.
And they can attest to that as they're with us today. All right. Any other last item for the 5-year plan? I see a yellow hand up there, but I don't know who it's attached to. I think it's you, Mr.
Again, my thing is stuck. My
Okay.
thing.
So you're just going to keep your hand up all day.
Yeah, it's good exercise.
Okay.
Given a witness.
Great. Let's move on to the Tier 4 corrective action plan. Good. We probably did not pass that out. I'm not sure how much movement. If not, then maybe we can later. And
It'd be great if we sat with the financial manager and Rick and myself and others. And
very good. Let's do that. Because I don't know how much movement has occurred on that, and we did. Okay, so our bad. We're going to pass on that one. Okay, Bob.
Kim, we're kind of losing the volume on the Teams meeting here.
Okay. The discussion, Tom, was about the Tier 4 corrective action plan, and we inadvertently did not include it in the package, so we're going to pass on that discussion. Did you hear me, Tom?
Yep. Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Included in your packet today was the open items list, and we have an old open items list that we haven't. The good thing is we haven't added things to it because we've been focused on other things.
compliment the board on that. Good work.
There you go. We do have some items that have been closed. I think I reviewed it, and I do think that there's some items that can also get updates to. But if you've reviewed them, if the city is aware of any other items that you want to bring to our attention that you think are in progress, that would be. I think I'm moving. I know that the firefighters contract has been sitting here some time. I don't know what the intent is of the firefighters, if they bring back a contract to us or not. And if so, you would have to let us know.
I don't know exactly what they're thinking at this point.
Okay. Very good. would like to close otherwise
Yeah.
and get them off the plan.
Yeah, that's like 2, 3, and 4.
Correct.
On 5-year plan mitigation measures, that's been presented. It's just not approved. I think
Understand.
that's,
I think we can leave it pending to go with the 5-year plan. They go hand in hand.
and then the consolidation of the, that, we've talked about this before.
Understand. I think that it would be possibly helpful for us to have another conversation with them and maybe bring in somebody of an expert in that area. I think we tried to do that with prior designee from the treasurer's office, but I'm not sure how far that went. And she was going to them on this, and I'm not sure if they were that or not, but I really do think it would be worth a conversation, possible benefit to.
Yeah, I think they're, if I characterize this correctly, but I believe some of the concern, and I think the district that declined, they thought that investment strategy of the other plans was too aggressive. That was the comment I got, and if I remember correctly, looking at how that, what I was able to find out, that they are a lot more conservative.
Well, that's when like an investment policy is be helpful, and
Which we have with our plans. Yeah.
right. I know that this has been brought up with the best practice. It's
Yep.
only to help them, not to hurt them. Believe us. The last thing we want to do is make those firefighters don't have their pun. Number 10. Fuel and
Yeah,
energy. I think that that's just a small item.
fuel, we just signed a contract with, we just locked in with fuel, so I'll provide all the information. And
So-
we carry the risk, the fuel for the beer.
Okay.
It's ordered on our behalf, and yeah, so we carry.
So I know that Mr. Hamilton had requested like a matrix of each. What are we, the kilowatts? What is the cost? What is the contract term?
I can get all that.
I know you can.
I'll get all of that for you. We just signed the fuel.
Tell me what your assistant's name is again.
Tammy O'Connell.
Tammy. Yeah. Have Tammy help us out here.
Help me out. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I know we haven't done anything more on the Cohen report, but I think that we did have some follow-up, but you probably have not received any funding for that sent to prison.
But we did get $50,000 back.
Did.
Who was it?
Okay.
We are pursuing our insurance on this. Not sure how that'll turn out, but we are pursuing it.
Oh.
So really not much else to say right now.
Okay. Thank you. And we had some other areas of IRS code and looking into city vehicles. And I think that might be helpful once we bring on the financial manager and they start to work with the payroll and the HR in those areas. We might be able to get some feedback and or probably could also reach out to Santa Fani because tax office. That could help with that.
We did look at that initially. Not been a thorough review.
Okay.
I believe the list of employees that are allowed to take their cars home at night has been provided.
I do recall that we did receive a list. I don't know if the list has been updated since we made some changes with the vehicles and stuff. Maybe we just provide us with a new updated inventory.
I think we already have that. We just need to pass it along.
Yeah, that's it. That'll be great. We already did look at that. Number 23 is gone. We didn't get a full tour, but I will say we did. I think did we address number 26? Contracts over 50,000?
That was the list that we gave you.
Right.
Yeah.
I know it was some time back. I think this item might be closed.
Yeah, I think it.
Yes.
I'm going to take that off because I thought we did receive that. Special benefits, I think we're still looking into that. So it's benefits that individuals might have for, let's say, their appointed positions. That for the mayor is allowed to have a car. What other positions were allowed to have? That's what went hand in hand.
We provided that. We're going to give you an update.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything other than the use of a car.
No houses, right?
No houses, no, I don't know, stipends. It's all whatever your salary is and to use a car.
Have HR give us something in writing on any employee with their benefits, special benefits. Fire district pensions, that goes back to the other one. All right, we got 30 is closed, 31 is closed, and we're going to be pending budget transfers. What meeting will we see that at?
Well, it depends on the city council passing the ordinance, or not ordinance, the resolution.
Okay.
See that then.
And this would be
I
for
think
the
this was just a
23
reiteration.
transfers. And 24 transfers or just 23?
I'm only putting in 23. You will see ARPA fund things as well, so that'll be special item, but it's not really a budget transfer. But other than that, I see this as a reiteration of the rules.
Great. Any other business? I have none. Oh, I do have one. Mayor, is there a transition plan for when a mayor decides that they're not going to run again and an appointed positions? I don't know. I didn't see. Any other items of business today? Okay, none. Okay, I'm going to give you back 15 minutes. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Susan.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. White. Hello, Mr. Falsigno. All in favor, please.
Good morning.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right. This meeting is adjourned.
Good time here. I mean.